Hi, everybody. Carl Diffenderfer here. I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about something that, boy, can I say every business owner runs into this? I think I can. Yeah, every business owner runs into this. And what it is this: it's as we build our business, we have this so much passion and so much energy. If you've ever read the book The E-Myth, it talks at great lengths about this because we're so excited about our business. We're growing it, we're building it. And what happens is we end up working in our business and not on our business. And so our business starts to run us, it starts to control us. And ultimately, what happens is it moves us into a stage of chaos in our business. I'm going to show that to you here right now. Let's have a look at this. So this is the 9 stages of the business operating system. This is a snapshot into my mind as to how I see how business operates. And, a business owner goes through this full life cycle from the beginning, the idea, the creation, they're growing it, and then it begins to move into chaos. Now, the chaos is when the growth has exceeded the ability for the business to actually keep up with that growth. Many businesses have run into this over the years. And I'll tell you, during COVID, it happened to almost all businesses. It was a big problem for many, many businesses. And so this chaos stage, this week I've been talking a little bit about it on some of my other live calls, and I wanted to talk with you today about it from a business standpoint. How do I keep my business out of chaos? Well, when we're in chaos in our business, it's really all about putting out fires. Have you ever heard somebody say that? They're just constantly putting out fires. And so they're running here and doing this. They got to take care of that. And their workload is huge and they just can't keep after it all. You've probably experienced that, right? I know I have. And so really what we need to do as business owners is I have a 3-step, very simple process that can help you begin to move out of getting out of these spots where you constantly have fires. Okay, so I want to move into those. But before I do that, I want you to just take note of the fact that when you're in chaos, you're actually in a reactionary state in your business. And you're to blame. It's your fault while you're there. Now, you're like, that's not fair, Carl. You're not allowed to do that. Yeah, I just did that. And why? Well, you're to blame because ultimately, first of all, the buck stops with you. I'll never forget when I was a kid, my dad was a business consultant. He was one of the first guys to bring the DISC profile to computer back in the 90s. And so he came home one day and he was telling me about this business owner that he was consulting with. And the business owner came to him and said, you need to fire this employee over here. And my dad said, okay, like why? And the business owner said, well, they gave this huge list. All right. So my dad says, all right, well, let me talk to the employee. My dad goes and he talks to the employee. And the employee says, I can't stand this business owner over here. He's not reliable. He's always late for meetings, blah, 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 blah. He laid out this employee laid out all the reasons why the business owner was the problem. So my dad listened to both sides of the story. And in his wisdom, he was able to figure out that even though the employee was a problem, yes, the problem actually started with the business owner. So the same is true for you. If you have a problem in your business, you're the problem. I know that sounds so horrible, right? Like I'm not trying to be mean here. If those of you watching are crying now right now, I apologize. That's not the goal. But the buck stops with you. You're the owner. So if you have a problem you don't like, well, let's fix it. That's what we do in coaching. That's what I do all day long with business owners. It's so much fun because we find these problems and we go fix them. And what does it do? Well, it creates more and more freedom for them in their business. So they don't have to work so many hours anymore and they can take more vacations and they have more money in their pocket, all those things. Okay, so back on track here, Carl. Here we go. The most major thing that was wrong with that situation with my dad was that the business owner was the actual problem. And my dad said to me, he said, son, every problem in a business traces to the top. And so over the years, I've watched that in business and it's come to be true. So if you have chaos in your business, start to own it and say, how can I change the trajectory? How can I change my future to not be this way anymore? So instead of being in a reactionary state, you want to move into a proactive state. Proactive is where you want to live, because if you're proactive, the problem doesn't even happen. It doesn't even start because you've already put every piece in place, every process, every person in place, every metric in place. Everything you need is in place to keep that from ever happening again. Okay. So sound like something you want? Of course, right? All right. So here's how it works. I have a quick, very easy 3-step process. It is so simple. You're going to say, duh, Carl. Well, that's okay, because here's the deal. I can tell you this stuff all day long, but until you actually do it, that's when you're going to see the results. So number one, if you constantly have fires in your business all day long and you're getting burnout and you're getting tired of it and you don't want to do it anymore, number one, watch the fire. Okay, well, what do you mean by that, Carl? Well, watch the fire. Look at the fire. Have you ever been sitting out by the campfire and you just, you look at the flames? Well, the fire shows you one very important key, and that is, where's the fuel source? What's the fuel of this fire? I see a lot of business owners, they have a fire and they put out that same fire every week on the same day at the same time, because they've never actually gotten rid of the fuel source that actually causes the fire. So let's give an example. What would be a fuel source? A great one. How about you have culture problems inside your business? Your employees don't get along, or maybe they're bad mouthing you behind your back, whatever it is. And so you have these culture problems and it just keeps happening and happening. And you're like, I can't do this anymore. Well, that's your fire. Okay, so how do we get rid of that? Well, we need to find the fuel source. Maybe the fuel source is you need to build a process to help them with something so that it doesn't happen that way. Maybe you have a toxic person on your team and they just shouldn't be part of the team. I mean, let's be real. If you have somebody that's constantly griping to everybody else, eventually everybody else is just not going to want to work there. And I've seen it happen hundreds of times, where there's a toxic person that's causing people to leave the organization. So you identify the source, and then what do you do next? Okay, so we said watch the fire, meaning take a pause, look at it. What's actually going on? Number two, find the fuel source. Number three, remove or redirect the fuel source. Okay, well, what do I mean by that? Well, instead of, now that we know what the problem is, let's actually have it as our goal to fix the problem one time. What do I mean by that? Well, why would we fix it multiple times? That's not really actually fixing it, right? It's like putting a Band-Aid on something. No, we want to fix it for good. Never again do we have to deal with it. And what I have found is that typically this very often ties back to us knowing what the problem is, understanding it, having the metric, and then building a process to actually fix the problem for good. So if you're feeling like you're in chaos in your business, if you're feeling like I just don't want to be here anymore, maybe you've built a monster out of your business and you can't manage it anymore, and it's just like running you instead of you running your business. If you don't have freedom, if you don't have control of your business, if you don't know your end game with your business, where am I building my business to? Am I going to sell it? Am I going to pass it to my kids? Is it going to be ready for that? If you're in the fire of the weekly fire of, man, am I going to have enough cash flow this week? What am I going to do at the end of the month? Or what am I going to do for payroll? If you're having these fires, sit down with somebody and process through it and figure it out once and for all. By the way, an outside perspective will show you things you can't see, because let's say it's like you're sitting right up against the fire, but somebody that's further away might be able to see it actually better. So we look at the fire, we watch it, we find the fuel source, and then we go remove it or redirect it. We build the right processes, we build the right structure, the right systems, put them in place so that as our business grows, we're no longer in the chaos, because we've actually built the structure of the business to support the growth and create the freedom that we're after. I hope that was powerful for you today. I've been percolating, mulling this over all week. What is this supposed to sound like as I share this with you? As always, Zig Ziglar said it best. If you want to become successful, help others become successful. That's what I do as a coach. I want to help you become successful. For those of you that watch this, reach out to me. Grab a 15-minute slot on my calendar. I'll give you the outside perspective of what you can't see. And by the way, I'm learning new tidbits every day from business owners all over the world. So I have ideas that you've never even thought of. And I can share it with you real quick, lickety split. You're like, wow, that's brilliant. Let's do that. And we could solve a problem that you've had lingering in your business for too long that you need to get rid of. And hopefully by putting out one fire after another permanently, you put it out permanently, you'll never have to deal with it again. Thanks for listening today. Stay tuned for our next video coming up real soon, and take care. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.